ladies and gentlemen, back, not from retirement, because he's actually one of those persons who actually does the thing he teaches. That's the great thing about it. He doesn't want to teach. He wants to do the things that everybody else teaches and doesn't do. He does every single day. It's my proud pleasure to introduce the greatest marketer and business strategist in the world, Mr. J. Abraham. Come on down, big guy.
Thank you.
Oh, Jay, it's so much an honor to be on the same stage as you. I mean, well, because we all, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's very basic how it's taught. And you have to admit that you tend to look at things strategy-wise different than everybody else and going really, really deep, probably deeper than anyone else. But most people just scratch the surface. And well, 5.5 years ago, I read your book, and 5.5 years later, I'm on stage with you. And it's interesting enough is because I've learned more in the last few months together than I have. And it's, you know, we talk about strategic partnerships and the idea of partnering. And I have a lot of relationships. You know I'm very good at that. And this is the relationship I'm most proud of because I think it's one that I will never be fulfilled enough because you will always keep challenging me. And that's the really interesting thing about that. And it's funny because you're like, well, it's self-evident. And you start naming those 4 things. And I remember the first thing you said to me, you told me the exact same thing. And I thought it was self-evident, and it wasn't. And you saw everybody like writing down as much as they can. The thing is that things are not self-evident anymore because I think a lot of people have got a lot of miseducation.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, let me say a couple things because I was talking to some of your...
Well, can I go?
Oh, please. Oh, you stay. Just, I mean, you have to tell me 10 or 15 because I'll go until I mean, my attitude is always, I'll go until I'm tired and then I'll say abruptly and not meant to be rude, I'm done because I don't think I'm in a value contributing manner. Okay. So
well, it's 2:12, so by 7 we should be good.
All right, we'll see. So I'm going to ramble about some stuff that I was thinking about. No. Optimization is the highest and the best use of your time, your effort, your opportunity, your access, your people, your capital, your human capital, your efforts. However, you can't even begin to optimize until and unless you get an understanding, not necessarily of all, but of a reasonably meaningful spectrum of options, opportunities, and possibilities available. The biggest problem I have with most people in life is they choose a path which is probably the least, unless they're very lucky or they're extremely well trained, the path they normally choose to pursue, the effort, the advertising, the selling, the marketplace, is usually not the highest and best, it's the least and worst. And it's not their fault. They don't know any better because they don't understand there are options. There are options. I'll give you an example. My son used to sell copiers, many. My son's 43, but when he first started, he was in his 20s, he sold copiers for a prominent Japanese business equipment place. And his territory was a part of LA, and they just had him knocking cold on doors. And after about, I don't know, 3 months, he came to me and said, Dad, I'm spending 65 hours a day, and I'm making about $30,000, and I'm just getting killed here. You got any ideas? And I said, sure. I asked him questions, and it shocked me nobody had ever asked. And by the way, I believe in being enormously critical thinking. I look at implications, I look at correlations, I look at anomalies, I look at metrics, I look at processional things like everything that starts, what is it, goes from here to here to here to here to here, and how does everything connect, and how is it performing? And I learned that from masters because you can improve each part and the impact becomes exponential. Back to my son. Isn't this interesting? Am I confusing the hell out of you yet? I'll get to something important probably in a minute because my brain's almost awakening. So I said, let me ask you a couple questions. Do they know what category of businesses have the higher probability of buying either frequently or multiple in different categories? He said, I don't know. And I said, okay, why don't you find out? And believe it or not, they did, but they didn't provide that to their salespeople. I said, okay, let's get a list of everybody in those generic categories in your marketplace. So why work on people that have 1 out of 30 probability if you can work on somebody that's 1 out of 1, highest and best probability? Then let's not just call cold with the hopes that you're going to be, catching the decision maker. That's dumber than hell. Let's build, and I come from a school of testing everything. And you test everything because one approach over another will always outproduce. I've seen one headline outproduce another by 21 times. I've seen one sales approach outproduce another by 10 times. I've seen one source of leads or buyers either buy more, convert better, buy more often, buy bigger tickets. And if you don't analyze it, then you're getting the worst and the least. Back to my son. So I said, let's test different approaches on the phone of connecting before you even go into the market with the decision maker, so we have a firm appointment, so he or she is expecting you, so they have an understanding of why you're coming and a desirable expectation that you're bringing them something of value. Information, demonstration, understanding, free gift, doesn't really matter. And then let's organize your days so that instead of spending 90% of your day knocking on doors, you're spending 90% of your days calling on people who have a confirmed appointment and expect you. Now, I come from a very pragmatic discipline. Everything I do is, I don't want to take a lifetime to accomplish something if I can do it in a heartbeat, in a moment. But you have to understand, you can't just do it with hopes and dreams. Although that's a great passion fuel, you do it with understanding and knowledge and pragmatism, which comes from really looking at things more critical. Make a long story short. Almost the polar opposite. He went to working about 30 hours and making about $70,000. He did not stay in that job because I could have taken it. Because what you do is you start with a hypothesis. You look at what it's telling you. You say something's wrong with this picture, and you keep changing different variables. Variables mean the way you talk on the phone, what you say in the meeting. Each one of those will produce a better or less outcome. And I can go through this all day long, but it is tangential to partnering. I'm almost ready to talk partnering. So the concept of highest and best use transcends in all your life. So I'm going to give you lessons that I've learned from 3 different sources. 1, tremendous pain and expense. 2, tremendously brighter clients. 3, tremendously brighter experts who have befriended me. So the first one is a simple lesson in effectiveness. I'm going to teach you how to be probably 10 times more effective the moment you go back.